A set of sealed documents pertaining to Jeffrey Epstein and his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, have just been released. Ghislaine Maxwell was fighting pretty aggressively to prevent the release of these documents. And once I give you the details about them, you'll know why. But now we can learn more about the alleged sex trafficking that the duo engaged in. And luckily we can do this because of an order given by a federal judge who's like, no, we're gonna release them. And Ghislaine Maxwell has no real case in preventing the release. So it's a near 350-page paper that contains testimony from 2016. And that testimony is from one of the victims. Virginia Giuffre is her name. We've talked about her on this show before. And she had alleged that she was forced into sex with Epstein and his friends. And so let's go to some of the details of these documents. Giuffre talks about Ghislaine Maxwell in this deposition. Jeffrey and Ghislaine are joined by the hip, okay, she says. So they both trafficked me. Ghislaine brought me in for the purpose of being trafficked. They trafficked me to many people. That's what she had testified in sworn deposition in April of 2016. Giuffre also alleges that Ghislaine had sexual encounters on Epstein's, that she saw Ghislaine engage in these sexual encounters on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean and in his home in Palm Beach and New York. So I'm gonna give you some of the questions and the answers in this deposition. So one of the questions that Giuffre was given was, and you saw Ghislaine Maxwell have sexual contact with an unnamed female in that room, correct? She said, absolutely. What sexual contact did you observe Maxwell have with a female by the pool at an orgy on the US Virgin Islands? And she responded with, well, there was quite a few girls and it was, excuse me if I'm saying this in an inexplicit way, but I don't know how else to say it. So if you don't understand, please let me know. And then she said girl on girl action. So there was a lot of, what's the word for it? You guys can read. I don't know why I feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable saying this in the context of like how these people were victimized. It just makes my skin crawl. It's disgusting. So I need a break. So Nando, if you want to chime in and share your thoughts before I get into more of these disgusting details, let me know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's just we're just another peering a little bit more into the rotten and depraved ruling class. I mean, this is just, this whole Epstein thing has been kind of almost like a church committee for the sexual depravity of the ruling class. It's funny, like when we did the Jacobin show a few weeks ago, and we talked about Alan Dershowitz or whatever, my Instagram DMs got flooded by people defending Alan Dershowitz. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. And I was like, obviously they're paid and they're like, it's because no one really cares about Alan Dershowitz or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's this whole thing is just a utterly disgusting kind of window into elite behavior, which I think is totally cut off from the rest of us. I've like peered into it somewhat a few times, and it's like I'm not surprised at all by any of this. And again, like it's the story has been like largely ignored by the mainstream press after like the initial kind of flurry of activity, and I think it's because there is no real partisan angle to it.
No, and there are a lot of people with power named, in the documents that were just released, a lot of names that like I didn't even know about included. And look, if you're in the media and your whole business model is contingent upon, having these big names on your show, well, you're not going to want to cross certain people and you're not going to want to report on it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, so keep going. Sorry, I totally.
Well, no, it's just it's again beyond even the access to elite people. It's that the press muscles have been trained in a way to only see a story in terms of the partisan fight around it, right? And when a story comes along that doesn't have that inherently built into it, they can't like pit Republicans against Democrats or liberals against conservatives or whatever. They don't know how to process it, and and if it's about our ruling class, even more so. That's why they ignore kind of things like hunger and all that stuff. It's the same exact reason, just on the flip side. So it's again, it should come as no surprise. It's one of those like, the people who run our society are sick, disgusting people. They really are. It's this idea that you can be so horrifying and oppressive in the way you keep people down and hoard wealth for yourself, while that not spilling over into other depravities is just it makes sense that they would be like this, right? Like if you had any sort of morals, you could not be in the ruling class. It's like one of those things, like. Let
me also give you some more of the sworn deposition from Virginia Giuffre, because she also talks more about how she was personally victimized by Maxwell. She said the following: Ghislaine Maxwell is the one who abused me on a regular basis. She's the one who procured me, told me what to do, trained me as a sex slave, abused me physically, abused me mentally. She's the one who I believe in my heart of hearts deserves to come forward and have justice happen to her more than anybody. Being a woman, it's disgusting. And so she was very clear about Maxwell's involvement in this type of victimization and sex trafficking. And there were, as we know, a lot of big names mentioned. So I'm gonna give you one portion of the documents that really stood out to me and stood out to our producer Ashwarya. Okay, there was Naomi Campbell, Heidi Klum, there was Bill Clinton, there was Al Gore, there was a whole bunch of models. I wouldn't really honestly be able to give their names. There was the producer of The Simpsons. So there are a lot of names here, right? And the issue is it's hard to contextualize it and understand like their involvement in it. So I don't want everyone to assume like if they're named in this deposition, then they're definitely guilty. The problem is we don't know. We don't know the full picture of what happened. And Epstein was wealthy, he was powerful, and had connections to all sorts of wealthy and powerful people. I'm just trying to think of as many names as possible for you off the top of my head. That's as good as I can get for now. So we would have all these like lavish parties and all these celebrities would be there. Bill Clinton's name, of course, was mentioned. I do wanna also note that the document does redact some people's names, but here's what we've seen from the documents. So here's a question that was asked to Virginia. Just a few other follow-up things I want to ask you. And again, if any of these questions are questions that you're uncomfortable in responding to, then don't hesitate to tell me that. Do you have any recollection of Jeffrey Epstein's specifically telling you that Bill Clinton owes me favors? And so she responds and says, yes, I do. It was a laugh though. He would laugh it off. I remember asking Jeffrey, what's Bill Clinton doing here kind of thing? And he laughed it off and said, well, he owes me a favor. He never told me what favors they were. I never knew. I didn't know if he was serious. It was just a joke. And so then the question was, where was he? Probably where was he? It looks like a typo there. He told me a long time ago that everyone owes him favors. They're all in each other's pockets. And then the question was, when you say you asked him why Bill Clinton's here, where was he? She answers, on the island. When you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there? And she says, Ghislaine, Emmy, I don't know who Emmy is. And there was 2 young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York. And then the question was, and were all of you staying at Jeffrey's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? She says, that's correct. He had about 4 or 5 different villas on his island, separate from the main house, and we all stayed in the villas. And the question was, were sexual orgies a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? And she responds, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Clinton is one of the most disgusting men in American history. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. I mean, this is why watching him like at the John Lewis funeral, like cosplaying as this like concerned good liberal is just so disgusting to me. I can't stand to look at that man. I mean, everything he's done, the damage he's wrought, the absolutely personally disgusting nature of his character, everything about him is just, I hate him so much. I can't, you know what I mean? He's one of the worst people in American history.
The real problem is Kwame Ture. That's the real problem. The country was moving too far in that direction at one point, but luckily, neoliberalism persevered. I totally agree with you. But we'll give you more details, on these documents and on this story as we learn about them. But yeah, it's difficult to read about, it's difficult to process. And yeah, there's truly evil in the world. And when you hear about how these women were victimized when they were children, basically, when they were minors, is just devastating and disgusting.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.